When Brian Clough speaks, the football world listens. Today he defends League President Phil Carter, a man who could lose his job next week. We have a morning report from the England training headquarters as the squad prepare for the World Cup encounter with Sweden. First pictures of one of the cup upsets of the week, Scarborough's thrilling defeat of second division Portsmouth. And our Littlewoods Cup roundup features the best goals of the week. This one, a great relief, I'm sure, for Ian Rush. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Jim, you don't like to start a programme on a low note, but the death of Jackie Milburn this week, cast a shadow on football, and I think we would like to say something about Jackie.
Yeah, I think we would just like to give our tribute. It was a sad day for the game, obviously, but what a marvellous tribute to a man that 20,000 people from the northeast of England should go out and pay tribute to him at his funeral. And it's a tragedy that players leave the northeast now to go to other parts of the country, and that there's no really great football team there, but a great tribute, great man.
He was a great man, Jim, a smashing man, and a great international player as well. And talking about internationals, let's check on the lineup of fixtures for next Wednesday with all 4 home nations in World Cup action, while the Republic face Tunisia in a friendly. Northern Ireland clearly have the toughest task, although Hungary have indifferent form lately, including a 4-0 home defeat by Austria back in May. Well, viewers in Ulster will be able to see live coverage of that match starting 6 o'clock on Wednesday evening. Well, last Wednesday, England's opponent Sweden had a final warm-up game against Portugal. A pretty dull affair, no goals and little to commend it. But Bobby Robson would have been interested in the form of Glenn Stromberg. He looks strong and will need, I suppose, special attention next week. Now let's join Martin Tyler, who's with the England team right now.
This is the new England team headquarters in the heart of the Buckinghamshire countryside. Now, Bobby Robson has had most of his players here since Thursday night. It's not all sweetness and light, though, because there are a couple of injuries. John Barnes got on the bus to go to training this morning, still feeling his hamstring problem. There's a doubt about Peter Beardsley as well. He's got a rather severe groin strain. But Dave Besant did meet up with his new colleagues in the England squad. Besant in the squad for the first time at the age of 29, and he joined up with the players at Bisham Abbey this morning. For all the problems, though, Bobby Robson is delighted that the league have postponed most of the First Division fixtures this afternoon.
I'm absolutely thrilled about it, and it's the only way to tackle it. I mean, I've been banging the drum on this for years, haven't I? And so did Ron Greenwood, so did Don Ravi. And any subsequent manager will do the same. The good thing about it all is that the players who are here aren't risked this afternoon, don't play, won't get injured, and will be fresh for Wednesday. Now, that's very important. We're just a bit unlucky with Barnes and Beardsley. But the rest have been together. We're building up team spirit, and there's a great atmosphere about the place. We know how important it is. It's great to be together, and it's serving a great purpose.
Very committed to the England cause is defender Terry Butcher, a commitment that has got him into trouble with his club, Rangers.
I think it's a bad example from my point of view to do what I did. I think that many young players, obviously don't follow my example. But I'd rather vent my feelings on a piece of wood than I would somebody's leg or the referee.
Did you worry that might affect the England situation and the game on Wednesday?
Those thoughts didn't come into my head at the time. But obviously I do regret, and if it was to happen, then it happened. But as I said before, I'd rather vent my feelings on a piece of wood, and I've done that before in the past with Ipswich, because I do feel passionate, about the game and about Rangers now. As I feel as passionate for Rangers now as I did for Ipswich.
So all we want from the public is another chance, and they give it. I mean, the public I find is absolutely superb. They are great guys and do understand. So on Wednesday night, I'm sure we'll have 2 teams, one on the terraces, supporting the players and being loyal and giving us every encouragement that we need on a very crucial big match, and a good team on the pitch who want to pay back the country a bit of the disappointment we must have given them by not getting results in Germany when we all thought we could do it.
Well, that's honest enough, and that's what we want, Bob, from you. We want a victory, and I'm sure the lads will deliver. And for all those people who keep saying that Saint and I sit on the fence as far as Bobby Robson's concerned, we do not. We happen to believe that he is the best man for the job. End of story. Now, Bob, go out and prove it to everybody on Wednesday with your players, and we know that you will, because I think they'll win.
Yeah, okay. Now, Wales, Jim, we had a phone call this morning from the Welsh FA, who I believe have lost a player.
Did they reverse the charges, I asked myself? They've lost a player?
They've lost a player.
It's a bit careless, isn't it?
Well, someone has pulled out the squad, and they would like us to contact Mark Bowen, who I believe, because Norwich don't have a game today, he's down in Dorset. So if you're in the pub watching it, Mark, get on to the FA, because you're going to be included for that Finland game.
Oh, yeah. Get that cider out of the old system, son. You might be playing.
OK, now the form of Wales, Jim, it's nice to see Mark Hughes scoring goals again this season, because he is vital for them, isn't he?
Well, he is. I mean, the Rush-Hughes combination is that they're one real live hope, because they're both world-class players. And it is nice to see Big Mark. He's strong, and he's finishing. That is Mark Hughes' finishing. It's not side-footing or anything, is it?
Well,
it's thumping them, that's it.
He's one of the best volleyers in football. That was a marvellous goal.
Thumping them in the back of the net, and that was a marvellous goal. Let's hope he does it on Wednesday for the Welsh.
Can we see them winning that one?
What?
Can we see them winning in Finland?
It's going to be hard for them, isn't it? Because the Finns are no mugs.
No.
No mugs.
A draw. I think maybe a draw.
I mean, they kept the Russians at bay in the World War, you know.
Right. Now, the big game, Jim, of course, is up in Scotland. Scotland against Yugoslavia. I shall be there at Hampden Park. Now,
Thought you would be, Saint. I never doubted.
We've had a couple of blows this week, because Ian Durant, who's such a skillful player for Rangers in Scotland, was injured in this tackle there. That picture, by the way, from Eric Craig of the Daily Record. And that, Jim, has put him out the game, possibly for the season. That will be a blow. As will Gary Gillespie's injury. Now, Gillespie was a star man in the last international against Norway. He's injured here against Luton last week. Both players out, Jim, and that, I'm afraid, is going to be a big blow for us.
Yes, it will be, and it won't be an easy match for you,
No, it won't. But having said that, David Speedie is back in the squad, and a lot of people are quite happy about that.
Well, it's nice to see him back, because he went to Coventry early doors and had a rough ride, but John Sillett's obviously done a bit of kicking. We can't say where, because it's a family programme. And it's worked, and he's altered his position slightly, hasn't he?
Playing a bit deeper now in midfield.
Well, you see, sometimes this works for a striker, because it gives them a bit more room. And he's coming in behind the defence, isn't he? Well, and that's some crossing there, isn't it?
Well, all the goals by David's crosses by David Smith, and 3 headers by David Speedie. I just hope, Jim, on Wednesday that he's used in that role, because I think we need players in midfield for Scotland to get forward in the box and score goals, and I would like to see David play.
You do need a few to score goals, say.
Now, we turn to domestic matters, and the league's centenary celebrations finally ground to a halt last Sunday with the final of the Mercantile Credit Centenary Trophy. Of all the anniversary matches over the last few months, this one was probably the best.
Davis, a nice little ball played for Marwood. Groves is waiting in the middle, Smith's coming up fast, and is into the net there by Paul Davis. Sharp to McClare, going past Dixon, finding Olsen. Twisting low this time, Winterburn there for Arsenal. Smith for Marwood. For Davis. Thomas kept onside, played onside by Billy Garton. Michael Thomas now for Arsenal. And that's 2! His cross is in there. A flying header by Clayton Blackmore. And United are back in this game.
All good stuff, but I fear the old league rather cocked it all up a bit, didn't they, this centenary year, really? They
had
should
to
have
do
had
something,
just one,
didn't they?
Yeah, but they should have had just one big game instead of all these little bits and pieces that they had, and none of it's really worked, is it? Let's hope they get it right for their bicentenary, Saint.
Yes, and let's hope that we are here to discuss it.
Which we will, but will Ken Bates be here? I ask myself.
Well, the league threatens to attract more bad publicity in the next few days as a faction of club chairmen try to remove league president Philip Carter from office at an extraordinary general meeting next Tuesday. Carter, the Everton chairman, was a central figure in the television negotiations during the summer, and many people feel he has behaved in a way that isn't compatible with his position. Well, Carter naturally disagrees, but he has a few allies, including Brian Clough.
He's done the best job for football with television that's ever been done, and he should be thanked, and if not knighted, instead of castracised, or whatever the word is. Jimmy Greavsie will tell you what the word is.
Why do you feel that that job has been the best ever done for football, then?
We're getting paid for the first time ever what the game's worth. And I feel that football on television is going to be produced better than it's ever been produced. Now, this is not a promo for London Weekend or any other commercial television, or even BBC. If you get it on there, sell it to them. They would like one of our matches, actually. It is the deal that portrays our game as it should be portrayed, and we are getting a just return.
Is this then another case of football administrators, how can I put it, shooting themselves in the foot?
They're having a bad time. The Football League particularly having a bad time. And the second they replace Graham Kelly, that'll bring a little bit of stability to the scene. And the second they get their act in order, and the second they act on one front. Mr. Carter is a respected man, and he is a good league president.
Do you despair a bit about the administration at times, Brian?
I always have and always will. The football directors are not one of my favourite hobbies. They act differently when they become football directors. They come on or into football when they are successful businessmen and all that type of thing. Sometimes they behave like idiots! And I'm sorry I'm shouting, Ian.
What about football on television, Brian? Because I know, especially live football, at times you weren't exactly the #1 fan, were you?
No, I was the #1 hater. And with just cause. I felt live football would stop people coming into our grounds. And I can't produce the facts and figures, but I definitely believe that. It's now part and parcel of our life. And it is part and parcel of the fact that we have to sell our commodity, which is football. We have the best deal we've ever had in our lives.
What about the commodity at the moment, Brian? Do you think it's a good commodity to have in the marketplace?
It's good, yes. It's lovely. Gives us a smile. Football is brilliant at this time of the year in England. It's brilliant all the year, actually. And I just hope that Bobby Robson mirrors that image that we are setting out. It's good the fact that Liverpool haven't won everything in sight, for, you know, to start off with. They've actually lost a match in October. Now, that puts a smile. You were smiling, Jim.
Makes it more competitive,
yes,
doesn't it?
of course. And it's good for everything. If I'd have won 2 more matches, I'd have put even a bigger smile on your face.
That's right, Cloughie. I'm just working that out. Castricise. Castricise to castrate to decobble. Decobble. Mr. Carter, they've got you by the short and curlies, sir. That's what it looks like to me, but there you are. That's how it
well, I do hope to see sense and retain Philip Carter.
Well, he's done the best deal that anyone could have ever done for the fans, for television, and, most important, for football. Yeah. The man's done a good deal.
OK, Jeff, we will go with that. Right, now the Littlewoods Cup, and 7 unseeded teams survive round 2, only to avoid First Division opposition in the 3rd round draw. All matters except Scarborough, whose reward for their defeat of Portsmouth was a tie against Southampton. St and Greavsie cameras were there to record the day, and Peter Brackley was our man on a trip to the seaside.
Fair to say, of course, that the town of Scarborough on the North Yorkshire coast is better known for its qualities as a seaside resort than its football tradition. They cater for all sorts here, from the sublime to the somewhat ridiculous. But it was far away from the town's more commercial attractions that the players from Scarborough Football Club prepared for their biggest cup tie since attaining their league status 2 seasons ago. The idyllic surroundings of the Hackness Grange Country Hotel set in the National Park of the North York Moors. They certainly look smart enough for the putting green. Not smart enough, though, for manager Neil Warnock's liking as he dished out pre-match fines for the wearing of non-regulation shirts.
£2, Tommy £2, Benny £2, Rico £2, £2, £1 blacks for a short sleeve.
All in good fun, of course. Voting on all punishments carried proceeds to the players' end-of-season soiree. All thoughts at the McCain Stadium were on beating Portsmouth 2-2 at Fratton Park in the first leg. There were early signs on Wednesday that Scarborough in red here were in equally determined mood. Steve Norris denied on this occasion, but 10 minutes before half-time, the club's most expensive signing, £50,000 from non-league Telford, made amends in the most clinical fashion from Mitch Cook's pass. Scarborough 1 up, Norris with his 7th goal of the season. Portsmouth, frankly, were most disappointing. Early in the second half, their hopes of a cup run should have been over. Their defence embarrassingly exposed as Gary Brooke raced clear. But he'll relive that run for a while. But Clive Whitehead didn't mince words with Graham Hogg. But with 13 minutes to go, Scarborough, who'd outrun and outmanoeuvred Portsmouth, and with some style too, did at last score a second. Alan Knight kept Norris out, but how's this chip for coolness from Mitch Cook? Not exactly camera shy, is he? But then why shouldn't he celebrate such a splendidly executed goal? Didn't do much for poor old Alan Ball, watching from the Portsmouth bench. But with just 5 minutes remaining, his team, who only a few months ago, remember, were in the First Division, suddenly threatened a dramatic revival. Martin Poole's cross and a free header for Warren Aspinall looked set to ensure an enthralling finale. But this was Scarborough's night, and in injury time the suspense was over. Tommy Graham heading in a corner from Cook. 3-1 to Scarborough, 5-3 overall, and deservedly so, and how the players and their supporters, nearly 4,000 of them, relished the moment. Easy, eh? Not if you're the manager, it's not.
Well, have a look at the nails. I'm glad I don't smoke. But yes, we could have won it early, but we never do. At home, we tend to keep the crowd to the last minute. It's a ploy of the chairman's to try and keep them in the ground as long as we can, and then they'll come back, you see.
So Scarborough through in fine style to round 3. Well, here with a look at the highlights of the rest of the Littlewoods Cup action is Martin Tyler.
This goal from Tranmere's Mark Hughes gave the 4th Division club pride of place. It knocked out 1st Division Middlesbrough. Tranmere now at home to Blackpool, who also saw off 1st Division opposition. Managerless Sheffield Wednesday, 2 days after Howard Wilkinson's departure. Wednesday beaten on the away goals rule, and that was the goal that did it, thumped in by 20-year-old Steve Morgan. Ecstatic at the final whistle, the Blackpool manager Sam Ellis, a former teammate of his rival manager on Wednesday night, Peter Eustace, who's in temporary charge at Hillsborough. No slips for the former Wednesday boss, Howard Wilkinson. His new club, Leeds United, 5-2 aggregate winners over Peterborough. Vince Hilaire's goal, the pick of the 3 scored in front of the new manager. Leeds now meet the holders Luton in the 3rd round. Newcastle United, who sacked Willie McFall on Monday, saw John Hendry's first half goal make inroads into a 3-goal deficit against Sheffield United. Mirandinha added another in the second half, but Dave Bassett's rebuilt Sheffield United hung on to give Division 3 another representative in the 3rd round. They're away to freewheeling Manchester City, who blasted Plymouth 7-3 on aggregate. Paul Molden grabbing the 3rd of 6 scored at home park. Nigel Gleghorn wrapped up an astonishing City finale, his 2nd on the night, Manchester City's 6th. The highlight of Liverpool's 3-1 win at Walsall, at last a first goal for Ian Rush.
McDonald, good header. Good play by Barnes. Rush has done it! The Liverpool fans delighted. A great smile on the face of their supreme goal scorer Ian Rush as he breaks his duck at last.
No joy, though, for a former Liverpool star, Mark Lawrenson. Carl Shutt's goal for Bristol City, contributing to Lawrenson's Oxford United's exit from the competition. Bristol City going through to meet Crystal Palace. Steve McLaren's fine effort confirming a 6-2 aggregate win. 18-year-old Tony Elliott, a graduate of the FA's National School, had a harrowing first appearance in Birmingham City's goal, beaten 5 times by Aston Villa. No chance for Elliott here, though, with Villa's last goal, a splendid solo run from Tony Daly. Villa are now at home to Millwall. Teddy Sheringham at the heart of a 3-1 second leg win at Gillingham. 6-1 on aggregate, 3 of them to Sheringham.
This was Sheringham's second at Priestfield Stadium. Millwall go to Villa Park then, where they've happy recent memories. They drew 2-2 on the opening day of the season in their first ever game in Division 1.
That's some tremendous action there, James. But a couple of the clubs playing without managers.
Yeah, indeed.
There's been a few sackings of late, you know, and it's a bit disconcerting for the game, and it's something that Brian Clough had some views about, the whole managerial merry-go-round at the moment. And he had some views to say about Ian McFall's sacking up there at Newcastle.
He shouldn't have gone. How can you go having beaten Liverpool 7 days beforehand? I'm sorry that the fact he's gone. I'm sorry that Billy Bremner got the sack. And Billy Bremner did no favours for me while I was working at Leeds. I'm sorry for all Football League managers who get the sack. It's a bit of a turmoil at the moment. It reflects society and it reflects life. And it's about time we had some stability.
It is about time we had some stability. Clough is absolutely right.
But what about the managers, Jim, who have a contract and yet they want to leave to go to another? Arthur Cox, for instance.
Yes,
now, you know, Arthur Cox is under contract at Derby County.
Yeah.
He'd left Newcastle, he'd done a marvellous job up there, and of course they want him back.
Well, this is what my point was going to be, that Cloughie has always said the first thing you do when you join a club is you know that you're going to get the sack. So this is why, presumably, managers get contracts. Now, having got contracts, they should honour them. I mean, they expect the club to honour them, so therefore the individual should honour them. In Arthur Cox's case, he should honour his commitment that he's got. It's as simple as that. And therefore, if that happens, and it happens with the club, it's a mutual thing, and therefore you'll get some stability, won't you? But you can't have a manager go swanning off in the middle of his contract, Ian.
Well, the managers don't like it when the players do it.
They don't.
When the players ask for it.
They ask for loyalty from their players, and they pray for loyalty from their fans. And yet the minute an offer comes up, they think that they're entitled to go. No. It's out of order.
Yeah,
I tell you so, it's out of order.
Right, OK. Well, last week on this show, we predicted that Celtic's next European Cup opponents would be Dynamo Berlin, who led Werder Bremen 3-0 from the first leg. But how wrong can you be?
Yeah.
Because it was a complete reversal.
I know. I told you you'd be wrong about this one, Saint, didn't I? I said, you know, you might have overstretched it.
Well, this is Werder Bremen in the white shirts, Jim.
That's right.
And I mean, what a fight back it was. To be 3-0 down. In Europe, you don't expect that.
Not in this day and
Not
age,
this
you
level,
don't.
no.
I think years ago, you may, is the first one, penalty by Kurt Zopp. I think years ago, you always give yourself a little bit of chance, but European football's become sophisticated now, and here's number 2, and what a goal that was, wasn't it? Who scored that?
Gunther Hermann, who's a new German cap. So, I mean, something for us to look.
You certainly don't expect to get 3, and Celtic will have to watch their step, won't they? Because they're...
Well, it's a real tough one now. I mean, we thought they'd probably gone to East Germany, but now they're going to West Germany.
Yeah, they are.
The Bundesliga clubs, Jim, are always good players, you know, a lot of quality about them.
Well, they fight and they work hard and they're never beaten. I mean, they do get beaten occasionally, as we all know, but their attitude is that, you know, you're always in the game, and this game proves it. Here comes up number 5. Is that Sheff? Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, it's the old Glaswegians against the Germans, same, isn't it?
Rangers play Cologne.
Yeah.
Celtic play Werder Bremen. So as you say, Glasgow versus Germany.
A meeting of the warring nations, the Chile Jocos versus the old Germans. I tell you what, it's going to be a bit.
I mean, they've split the games, you know, because the 2 Glasgow clubs obviously couldn't play 2 German teams on the same night in Glasgow.
So that is something that does not surprise me at all.
Right, well, that's it for this week. I'm sure next Saturday we'll have plenty of talking points following the international matches on Wednesday. First Division goals for you later in the results sequence at 4:45, presented by the Housewife's Choice, Jim Rosenthal. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Alan Smith scored his 19th goal of the season as the leaders Arsenal beat West Ham 2-1. But the Arsenal players Tony Adams and Paul Davis have had to pull out of England's friendly in Greece next week because of injury. Norwich were hoping to continue their challenge away at Charlton, who are once again threatened by relegation.
Charlton's recent history is of constant crisis. Bankruptcy, homelessness, and then the threat, never realised, of relegation. Even now, after 2.5 seasons back in Division 1, this friendly club still struggles to look the part. Modestly supported, they're temporary tenants at Crystal Palace. The one permanency is the manager, over 6 years in the job.
It's been an eventful time, you know, and I'm pleased to have come through that. And obviously you form quite an emotional attachment to a club, having experienced all those problems. And I just hope that we can stay in the First Division and we continue to go on from there.
3 minutes into the second half, that all looked reasonable enough. As today's visitors Norwich dithered, Lee first tried his luck, then Crooks. Charlton's 5th consecutive win looked on, but really it was like a red rag to a bull. Less than 3 minutes later, Norwich were level. Phelan's cross, Allen's stunning volley. The game was won a quarter of an hour later. Townsend is proving Norwich's most eye-catching player this season. He found Boulder's blind spot to register his side's 8th away win in 11 matches and suggests that come April, it could be the same old story for Charlton. Charlton 1, Norwich 2.
Nigel Clough scored twice for Nottingham Forest as their surge continued with a 3-2 win at Luton, and John Aldridge gained a point for Liverpool in their 2-2 draw at Newcastle. Arsenal are still 3 points clear at the top. Coventry stay third after a 1-1 draw at Middlesbrough, while Forest move up to fourth. Gordon Jury scored 5 for the second division leaders Chelsea in their 7-0 win at Walsall. Linford Christie in his first